everyone, and welcome back to MF Uncensored. Don't forget, if you guys are listening to us on the go, you can find us on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, basically anywhere you get your podcast. You can also find more of our content on our website, themisfitfaction.com. There you find links to not only this show, but some of our other shows like the Multiverse Fancast and Cinematic Adventures. As always, I'm one of your hosts, Paul. With me via the Zoom studio is somebody I'm super excited to talk to because our opening conversation off air involved the discussion of nudity, books, and pretty much everything in between. And that's Mr. Tommy Burke. Tommy, how are you today?
Super.
Dude, I am so excited to chat with you. Like, it's such an honor just reading your resume. Like, it's so cool to talk to somebody like you.
Wow. I'm getting disappointed. I'm totally getting disappointed.
I've never disappointed. I like to say that because I always set the bar really, really low. And I find that if you set the bar low, you can't ever disappoint anyone.
I'm in the sewer. That's how low I am.
No, but see, I also tried doing that to my wife where I just set the bar really low. And so far, I'm still paying for it. But anyway, that's
Where's this podcast out of?
we're out of New York.
I'm gonna hang out. Are you a Yankees fan?
My wife is a Yankees fan. I'm a Mets fan. Don't hold it against me.
Well, you're lucky. I'm a Boston fan, so we'll just leave it at that.
You teed me up. You caught me off guard. I wasn't ready for that one.
I'm gonna catch you more off guard.
Bring it on. Let's do this. So before we get started, why don't you tell our audience just a little bit about yourself?
I'm 6'2", 200 pounds. I like long walks at the beach.
Are you sure that's about you, or is that just like your Tinder profile? Like I don't know what you're reading right now.
I'm Tommy Burke. I've been 33 years in the film business. I had a very tumultuous way of getting into it. Ups and downs. I got cancer when I was 40, and I got Parkinson's when I was 6 years ago. That's it. We're done.
That's it. That's the whole episode. Everybody can just log off right now. No, man, like that's the coolest thing. So let's start with the film industry because I am a huge movie buff, a huge TV buff. You worked on some of the shows that I know I've watched. Like
What are they?
what shows or what are like my favorites?
Either.
So growing up, my two favorite movies growing up were Ghostbusters and Honey I Shrunk the Kids. Weirdest combo, but as a kid growing up, I could watch those movies over and over and over again. But I know that for a fact that you worked on Chicago PD.
Yes, I did. I had to leave though.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. But that's still like such a big accomplishment. Like I actually really do enjoy Chicago. I don't usually like the syndicate like those kind of procedural shows just because I've tried to binge them and it's like watching the same thing over and over again and it gets a little tedious for me. But Chicago PD, that's one of those big ones. Like that's really cool, man.
Sarah Silverman said when she travels a lot, she watches Law and Order because it's always the same. It's something comfortable and familiar.
I can get behind that. Like my wife loves the show Friends, and she's seen it a million times, but she can throw it on just like while she's in the house and just comfort food. For me, my comfort show is definitely Supernatural. A big fan of Supernatural.
I work with Jason Ackles.
No, don't. Oh my God, don't let my wife hear that. Jensen Ackles is like one of our favorite guys.
Are your toes? I'm dropping names. Watch your toes.
Oh, that's so cool. So, wait, how do you know Jensen Ackles then?
He was in My Bloody Valentine 3D.
Oh my God, I love that movie. That-
Yeah.
Mild spoiler alert, but he was like the bad guy in that movie. That was like a whole big thing.
Yeah, he's a sweetheart. He's such a sweetheart.
Oh, I can imagine. Like just such a nice guy. But for
You could put up, you could stab him while you're working. He'll just, you know, wipe the ball off and keep going.
that is probably the coolest thing. My wife, it's funny. I invited my producer wife, that's what we call her, the producer, to do the interview, and she's like, "I got to do homework. I got to do this." She's gonna be so upset now, and you know what? That's on her. That's her fault, not mine. But for you, how did you get into the film and TV business?
Oh God. So I went to Boston College, which is a business school. My father taught there, so my parents said to me, "If you get a better school, we'll pay for it. You get a worse school, you'll pay for it. You better go to BC because it's free." So I went to BC. Basically, back then they wanted several generations back, the Irish kids would come off the boat and they wanted their kids to be in business. I mean, I'm wearing a short sleeve shirt right now. I can wear that too. I have worn this to work, but they want the kids in suits and ties. So I went after I finished BC. I went to Vermont to get a television job for a day. I missed a job. Worked in a factory. As a bouncer. Came back down and heard what PA was. I email that wasn't back then. I mailed 9 resumes and cover letters to people in Boston production houses. Bill Weems was the only one accepted it. He ended up being on the 9/11 flight. I got on the job. People from BU and Emerson knew technical stuff. They were film people.
Mhm.
I didn't know what I was doing. I stood there. I looked like an idiot. The director said, I never want that guy on the set again.
Oh no.
So I got called back. I started a thing called a grip house where you load camera trucks with grip electric gear. I started doing this stuff. They had another job coming up. They said, what about this guy? He's a big guy. And Yale, but one guy said Yale doesn't like him. I said, well, Yale's not directed this. So it got me on this time. I was a guided missile. So I just busted my ass, did a bunch of films, and they said, you want to be an AD, you got to go to LA.
Mhm.
Went to LA, and that's a whole other problem.
Why is LA a whole nother problem?
Because I got a job. I got my car stolen 1 week, got fired from another job, the same job in the next week.
God, that's a terrible set of weeks.
Exactly.
Oh man. So like, did it turn around for you in LA, or like was it just one?
No, it's been downhill ever since.
It's been downhill ever since. Well,
Where's
that's
your
LA.
Where's your producer wife? I want to cry on her shoulder.
I'm gonna try and get her to start texting her while you're talking. But no, that's crazy, man. Like for some, like I know we've talked to people who've worked in film on the show before. I know I've got a lot of like people that I know that have done films or writing or this and that. Like the stories that you hear about people just trying to get into the industry are wild. So like for you though, you got there. You got plenty of writing credits here. Like how did that process happen for you?
I just kept going. I mean, I was on a show. I got cancer. I did 80-hour weeks. I did chemo on Thursday night, midnight. And I would get up the next day to work again. I don't give up. That's the thing. I don't give up.
Dude, that's awesome, man. Like that kind of perseverance, especially given what you're going through now. Like you seem like just kind of the kind of guy that just doesn't quit, and it's paid off for you in a lot of ways. That's really cool, man.
My favorite quote a line from Terminator, since we're bringing up old films, when he's in the police, he's talking about the Terminator, he goes, he'll keep coming. That's what he does.
Terminator is still by far one of the best movies of all time, but it's weird because it suffers the same problem that Star Wars has, where the second one is the one that everybody loves. And I will say that the second one is the technical and definitely the writing superior to the first one, but I still love the first one. The Kyle Reese storyline, the Chosen One storyline, like I love all that stuff, man. Like, and then for you as a writer, can you kind of tell me some of your process?
Oh, I haven't written, I don't know where you got, I was a book writer because that's all I've written.
Oh yeah, that's
Uh,
right. So let's awkwardly segue then into you. You actually are you're in the process, or you've already written a book.
I wrote it a while ago. I'm still trying to get it out there. It's a pretty cool book because got all people. I say there's like 45 chapters, but all of them are like 3 or 4 pages long.
Wow.
So it's really easy to read. I talk about a gun being pointed at me. I talk about cancer. I talk about a lot of stuff. I break down in the end of the book. I break down all the roles of the film set. It's a very funny book. So
That's awesome, man. Like, and obviously we'll talk a little bit more about it towards the end because I want to hear more about it. So for you though, you went from movies and TV and now you're writing a book. What kind of was that transition tough for you? Like, you worked in film and TV, so you kind of saw how things were created, and now you're creating something on your own. What was that like for you?
I didn't have a. There's a famous old John F. Kennedy story. When he was in World War II, he saved all his PT boat, and he said, "I'm not a hero. They sucked my boat." Same thing. I didn't get out of Chicago PD. I got Parkinson, so I left it. I knew I've always been a go getter, so I knew I could just stop, do nothing. I had to do something.
Hmm. Yeah,
So I wrote a book.
just woke up one day like I got to do so. I like that because I am a restless soul. Like I have some time off coming up this week, and I'm already like scheduling everything every day. My wife's like, you're off, right? Like you have time. And I was like, but I want a podcast and I want to do my YouTube stuff and I want to like get all that stuff. I love to create. Creating is one of my favorite things in the whole wide world.
Your wife sounds like a smart one. Get her down here now.
Try and get her down here. But she is the smart one. Granted, she did marry me. She actually married me twice. And if anybody's ever heard that story on the show, you
Tell
know.
me really quick. You can't just dabble that in front of me. How'd she marry you
All
twice?
right, just because we're vibing, I'll give you the vibe. So my wife and I our wedding was scheduled for 2020 during, of course, the infamous COVID year. And we waited and procrastinated, and we were like, 2 weeks to flatten the curve. It's fine. We're gonna be fine. We're scheduled for November of 2020. And so in August of 2020, the venue calls and they're like, "Hey, so the state released all these new guidelines, and here's what we can do for you. I was like, all right, let's hear it. We're ready. Like, this is our wedding. They said you can have 50 people. We could do a ceremony, champagne toast, no dancing, no food, and everybody has to wear masks. I said, well, that's funny because I've already paid you $11,000 and that's not worth any of that. So we're going to have to do better than that. So we ended up going to the courthouse, and the courthouse was closed on the day we were supposed to get married because somebody got sick there and they didn't tell us. One of our closest friends got ordained in the parking lot and actually married us down the road at the library. And so that was our first wedding. And then a year later, we actually did our full ceremony and vow renewal. So we always joke that we had two weddings.
You'd be surprised what I've done in parking lots.
Really? Oh, now you got to tell me. Give me an example. Come on.
I make it. It's a joke. That's a joke.
Oh, okay. All right. You don't tee me up like that. I really thought there was a
I
story.
got a lot. I got one of the things that, because it's uncensored, I had a lot of story in the book, and my niece said I should take it out. But I was such a wise ass when they were showing me around the chemo ward orientation. The people are there and they're getting chemo. I said, the nurse practitioner, I said, can I watch porn? And she said, if it doesn't bother anyone else. And I tell that story from a sensitive point because she didn't know I was bluffing, but she said, you're going through hell. So I'll let you do it. It's a touching story in a way because she said, if that gets you through it, God bless.
See, that actually that turned from something really funny to like something super heartwarming. Like the people that work in the medical field, especially and stuff like that, like I always have so much respect for them. Like my sister is she worked in a nursing home for a little while. Now she went through all these different things, but she would tell us stories about being in the nursing home and just trying to make people comfortable and like trying to make people feel good at least for a couple of minutes. Now, did you actually watch the porn though? Come on, be honest.
No, I don't. One of the things I don't need hassles anymore. So I say I do things, but I don't need hassles. Yeah, I was in this basement of suicide. They have a 24-hour chemo.
Mhm.
I do it at midnight, 2 in the morning.
Oh wow.
And it just, the guys were, a guy way off would be coughing and be stone quiet.
Mhm.
I watched TV. They have little TVs in there a while back, and they had best of comedy. So I watched that. I couldn't fall asleep.
Mhm.
And I just did my chemo and got up, and next day did another 14-hour day.
Jeez, like 14 hours is a long day. I think the most I've ever worked was about 16 at my job. And even that, like, even if you're prepared for it, it is a long day. And the fact that you were going through so much else while it was happening, like that's commendable. But it seems
That's
like
the,
that's your work ethic. Like that's the kind of person you are.
that's how I was raised. I mean, my parents were very work centric, so I just worked ahead.
Hey, sorry. Kind of cut out for a second. There we go. But like I respect anybody that has a solid work ethic. My dad is probably the hardest working guy that I've ever met. My dad, not only did they like he worked for a US bank for a long time. Not only did he make it to the retirement age, but they were like, "All right, you have to retire." He's like, "Do I? Do I have to retire?" He's the guy that loves his job, loved his work, and as soon as he retired, he took 2 months off, traveled to Europe with my stepmom, came back, started a new business.
What does he do now?
He does consulting, and it's funny because anytime people ask me, like, what my dad does, he's explained it to me 3 times, and yet every time he explains it to me, I still don't understand a word he's saying. I am a simple man with a simple brain, but at the same time, like, it's like if I tried to explain podcasting to him, he'd be like, "Yeah, yeah, sure, 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 sound like internet radio." That's what it is, internet radio. So that's where I find myself. Now, for you though, your book, all right? So you describe your book as part memoir and part handbook, offering life and near death lessons. Can you highlight some of the lessons that you hope your readers take away from this experience?
Well, I talk about how I got in the film business. I talk about one of the things I say to people is you got to get out there and network.
Mhm.
I say you never meet anyone in your living room. I tell all the things I've done, the mistakes I've done, how I learned from them. The near death experiences are, like I said, a gun pointed at me once. Two diseases. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in the book.
So I don't want to spoil anything from the book, but that's the second time you mentioned the gun thing. Can you give me a little bit of context to it, or do I have to read the book first?
I'll give you a hint. I survived.
All right, that's fair. That's good writing right there. What you just did. That you had me in suspense, and then you pulled the rug out, and now I have to read the book. Oh God, you hooked me.
Well, great thing is you and your wife could just sit and just read chapters to one to each other.
See, my wife, she is the reader. She loves to read. She has a book page on Instagram. She has her nice little library set up. She's got her reading set, like a reading space set up. I used to love to read. I really did, but I have so much trouble sitting down and just doing it at this point.
Well, there's an audio version of the book too.
Oh, perfect. So, you know what? That actually might be better for me though. But for you though, like you faced a lot of adversity and you found strength to motivate and inspire other people. Like, what message do you want to convey to those people that are maybe going through their own challenges or other challenges similar to yours?
Well, a couple of them. One is don't give up. I mean, there's, a lot of people say I reached great heights. Follow me. I say I screwed up a lot. I screwed up a lot. Also with the Parkinson's, you got to move. It's what they're finding that moving is the best thing.
Mhm,
So I run on the beach. I do my bike. I'm always moving because you got that's the big thing about Parkinson's. You got to keep moving.
mhm. And
I'm in a bike charity event a week from Sunday
oh wow,
for
that's
Park
awesome.
for Parkinson's Association. Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool, man. Like that's just awesome. And you know, it's funny because like just talking to you, I also know that your brain seems to be constantly moving too. Like you seem like the kind of guy that is always thinking of things to do or ways to express yourself. So for you though, like when you decided to sit down and write this book, what was the first challenge that you ran into?
Remember the stories. I mean, I would. It's funny. I would listen to my iPad a little bit to fall asleep, and right before I fell asleep, a story would come in my head. I get on the internet, write a subject line of the story, I email it to myself. So get all the stories. And having a great editor, Erin Anderson was a great editor. She kept me straight and honest. I cut out like 50 pages of the book
Oh, wow.
that I could have done. I mean, some real stuff, but I didn't want to, overload too much.
Mhm. So for me, like my similar issue is when I do podcasts, if I want we converted a lot of our podcasts over to YouTube, and YouTube is very different than podcasting. Some podcasts are very successful on YouTube where they do their entire episode, they throw it on there. Some need to remove things and make them shorter because people's attention spans are like -4 at this point. But for me, like I love putting my episodes with very minimal cuts and edits. Like we don't take a whole lot out of the show. A lot of the ums and the spaces and the breaks and stuff like that. But for the most part, like even I did an episode a few months ago where I left in a whole sequence where the camera goes dead on the guest side. And he emailed me about it and he was like, why would you put that? I was like, because it's uncensored. That's the whole point. And why would I why would I write a script or take out the mistakes? People learn from the mistakes. Like you said, we've all made mistakes. And the fact that you're learning from them and now for you, you get to put them into a book is pretty cool.
Since you prompted me for the uncensored, I'll tell you another uncensored story.
Yes.
I had Parkinson's. We went to a Parkinson's support group, and the lady who started it was late. So when someone says it goes, I'd like to start the meeting. Just go around and tell you who you are. You know, one lady says, my husband has Parkinson's. He's at home. The lady says, I have Parkinson's. And the woman says, I just left my partner in the nursing home. They come to me. I go, hi, my name is Tommy Burke. A lot of people don't know things about Parkinson's. I tell people I got it from an unclean woman. The woman across the way says, that's not funny. I said, well, I'm here. Your husband's not.
All right, you got me. You got me again. You got me again. That's but in all honesty, like everybody deals with things their own way. My wife she tells me I am very guilty of coping with humor. That's my favorite thing to do. Cope with humor. The more humor, the better. Like for me, in the course of what I do for a living and all these things, see some traumatic things and throughout the course of my life. But for me, like if you can't laugh about anything, if you can't laugh about the harder things, how are you supposed to laugh about the easier things?
I used to make a T-shirt every year for Chicago PD for the ADs and stuff. My last T-shirt said one of my favorite expressions is laughing through the tears. Laughing through tears. I said laughing through frozen tears
Mhm.
because it was so cold in Chicago.
You guys filmed on location in Chicago, right?
God, yes.
Oh dear God, the Windy City. My brother lived there
Um,
for like a year, and he told me horror stories about how cold it was. Like I can't even imagine.
we shoot out January at midnight outside.
Oh, I got hypothermia just hearing that. It's funny because I hate the cold. I am not a good like I'm not good in the cold. You'll see me bundled up and putting on all these different layers, but like Chicago, January, that sounds brutal.
So when you move into Florida,
It's funny. The joke is when my wife keeps going, when you retire, when we retire, like, what do you want to do? I was like, we're not moving to Florida. She's like, okay, I don't want to move to Florida. So I think, in all honesty, it might be some South Carolina or something in the near future, but that's some time away. But for me,
That gets cold too.
but there's a big. It's funny because, like, every area of the United States has different levels of cold. New York is so strange. Like, we've had a very mild winter this year, and like one day it was like 60 degrees and we were outside, and then the next week we had a huge blizzard. Like, you can't keep track of New York. And then you get areas of New York like Buffalo where they'll get like 6 feet of snow.
One of the chapters in the book is when I went to Vermont for that job.
Mhm.
I stayed with a friend of mine from high school. All we had for heat was a potbelly stove.
Oh no.
So you could see your breath at night in the living room.
Oh, that's
And
brutal.
when you woke up in the morning, the dog's water dish had a thin kick of ice on it.
Jeez. I think I've been to Vermont one time. My friends and I ran a race up in Vermont, but we went like during the summertime. Obviously, we didn't go in the winter, but I can't even imagine how cold it gets up there.
It was great because it was sunny. Boston, New York has that cloudiness, which just sucks the energy right out of you.
Oh, I can imagine. Like, just the cold. I hate the cold. We can do a whole podcast episode on just how much I hate the cold. But for you though, like, obviously you worked on Chicago PD. Can you tell us some of your favorite, like, memorable moments from working on such a big show?
It was a great crew. It was a really great crew. Very endearing. I miss it. I see them shooting still. I mean, I miss the ADing because it was like I did like a quarterback. Most ADs are I did to get things moving. I loved working with people. It was amazing.
Oh, that's so cool. Like, and then obviously you interacted with some of the actors and the guest stars and all that stuff. So, I mean, you probably met a ton of interesting people.
I did.
That's so cool. Like, any fun stories about some of the cast members, anything like that?
Chicago PD talk about.
Yeah.
They're all great. They're really they're all great.
See, I like hearing stuff like that because so many times you'll hear about like your favorite actors or people that, especially like in shows that where they play like really rough or tough characters. I love hearing that they're just like really good people and really nice in real life, because it's always my fear. Like, if I ever see a celebrity out and about that I really like, because we're about an hour and a half from the city where we live, so like, you go to New York City, there's a fair chance you're gonna see, like, you see them filming every once in a while, like, SVU films over there, but like, I'm always afraid you're going to run into an actor who, like, on TV is either they're really nice and like cool on TV and then they're just assholes in real life, or they're assholes on TV and then assholes in real life.
I don't like. I talk a lot about actors in my thing. I talk about Jensen Ackles in my book.
Oh, see, I'm so damn it. I love Jensen Ackles. Sorry, he's like one of my favorite actors in the whole world. I really want to see more of him, but
Does a restraining order stop you?
no, 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 it hasn't been notarized yet, so it's fine.
Good comeback. Good comeback.
Yep. Yep. See, now I know what I'm working with. And I know that you're quick and I know that you are very, like, just ready to go. So I have to be on my game. I always say that the most interesting podcasts that I ever do are with people that are incredibly quick-witted. Comedians are notoriously fun because they're ready with jokes all the time and they have to be quick. So I like a good challenge.
I worked at the Santa Monica Improv in Santa Monica as a showroom host. That was fascinating.
Oh, I can only imagine. Improv is a wild form of comedy. Like, for people to just come up with things off the top of their head always impresses me.
Well, it's called the Improv. It's really like it's like the Comedy Store. It's like that. The Santa Monica was like the JV of the thing,
Mhm.
but they came down a lot. That was fun working. I also got hit by a car on the way to the Comedy Store. I saw the Improv.
You got hit by a car?
Yeah.
I like how you said that so nonchalantly, like, no big deal. Just got hit by a car.
Well, I was telling someone you don't panic.
Mhm.
Right now, you could drop a house on me. I just say, well, this is what we got to do.
I like that. Well, I don't like the idea of a house being dropped on you, but it's that mentality, right? I always say I have a very "it is what it is" kind of mentality. Like, you can complain about it or you can work through it. Like, it's at the end of the day, it's your choice how you handle these kind of situations, and that's something. Just talking to you for like the last half hour, like, I get that from you. That seems to be like your thing. Whatever comes your way, you just kind of, it is what it is. Let's just deal with it and keep going.
No one ever hears me complain. I never complain.
I mean, you could complain to me. I would listen if you wanted to complain.
I'll cry on both your shoulders. You're your wife.
You just take turns, go back and forth. See, that's how I want to spend Valentine's Day week with a guy that I just met 30 minutes ago crying on me and my wife's shoulders. It's perfect.
I'm trying to think. I don't come back.
Ah, yes, I got him. I got him.
I
Biggest.
get Key Grip on show. He'd say something. He set me up. I go, I got nothing. He goes, you can't have nothing. You gotta have something.
I think having nothing sometimes is something. Sometimes nothing is just as comedically effective as something.
You go into philosophy now.
No, I was just kind of bullshitting, and I was really hoping it came out in some sort of philosophical way.
Your wife may, dig that stuff, but it's wasted on me.
It's not doing it for you.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to try a little bit harder. Try a different tactic. Now, let's go back to the book. So, right now, the book is out, and like when you first saw that it was published, it was out. Like, what were you feeling when that first happened? It must have been a huge accomplishment.
Actually, a huge accomplishment is this. I haven't read the book in a long time, so I listened to the audio file.
Mhm.
I'm almost through it, and one thought that came through me, my mind was, I can't believe you did all this stuff.
Yeah,
What you're crazy. I mean, I'm exhausted listening to it.
that's awesome though. Like, that's a great way to look back in your life though, and like be like, man, like, what were you thinking? How did you do this? Like, that's so cool.
I never gave up. I never gave up.
And it sounds like you're still not giving up, which makes it even better for me, man. Like, you're an inspiration, and I'm not just blowing smoke because like just talking to you, man, it's inspiring.
So what's your big thing you're gonna do?
With that, I'm gonna do like, well, I do want to write a book at some point. That is a goal. I just don't know what's gonna go into it right now. And right now, our podcast network is doing really well. We're monetized on YouTube. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe, by the way. And shameless,
It's my show. You can't put yourself in my show.
shameless plug, shameless plug. But we're doing that where YouTube's going well, podcasting's going well. The ultimate goal, I told my wife the other day, she's like, "What do you want to do with it?" I said, "I would love to make it into some sort of act." So our network name is called the Misfit Faction Media Network, and we want to make it into an actual media network and expand to, we do articles on our website, stuff like that. We've been a little lax with it just because I've been personally busy. But the goal is to make it into some sort of actual like production studio where people who want to start podcasts or want to start YouTube channels or even eventually end game get to some sort of maybe small studio productions, like short film stuff like that. That's the goal. And that's, hopefully one day.
Will you permit nudity?
Of course I'll permit nudity. You can't have a good movie without nudity. I mean, didn't you ever see Finding Nemo? They're all naked in that.
It's like we're playing pickleball.
Just play pickleball in the nude.
No, we're playing pickleball. We hit it over the net. You come back with something.
I gotta be quick because I can't get stumped on my own show.
You have cue cards. I could tell.
What are you talking about? I am not looking off to the side at all. So it's funny because for me, I have to position the zoom right underneath the camera because otherwise I have a tendency to look. I don't take a lot of notes beforehand because again, the whole point of the show is to be uncensored and unscripted and all these things. But like I like to also just keep if the conversation's flowing, man, like it always flows so well. I love it.
Do you have the book?
But yes, we got a copy of the book.
It's pretty good. I mean, I was listening to it the other day. I mean, I got my Aaron Anderson helped me with the editing, and David Kriegel helped me with the audio, and they were big helps. I mean, it's pretty amazing book. I'm surprised. Wait till you get to the Porter John of Hell.
Oh, see that. So here, I'm always of mixed opinions whenever I get a copy. So whenever I interview authors or anybody who's written something, it goes one of two ways. It's either, hey, we're going to send you a copy of the book beforehand, just as like a thank you for having us on type thing, and that's usually for your ebooks, your audiobooks, stuff like that. Or afterwards, they'll be like, hey, do you want a copy of the book? So my biggest challenge is if I ever get it beforehand, do I read the book beforehand and then talk to the author, or do I read the book after and then bring the author back to talk more about it? So that's always kind of where I find myself. But for me, I like to talk to the person first and then read the book and then follow up with them. Even if it's just an email where it's like, hey man, like read this, I really liked it. Or even if it's we've had people come back onto the show after we read the book.
I'm not blowing smoke up your ass. That's a lot of people have said that. they don't read the book, and we start going on. They go, I had a podcast the other day. The guy was like overwhelmed. Like, I gotta have you back because there's always I got so much in the book.
I like that though. That's awesome. Like because you're a guy that had so again, I got your information and you guys reached out to me and I was so excited to start reading it. And it's funny because like you had all this great information and then the book. So it was like two things. And I was like, same thing, do I try and get it all in and potentially become overwhelmed, or do I start here and then see if here is a good option afterwards?
You gotta read the part where someone dropped dead in front of me.
I see. You got me. I wasn't ready for somebody dropping dead in front of you, but yes, I am super excited. We do have a copy of your book, and it's funny. We didn't even tell everybody the title of the book. We've been talking about it for the last half hour. What is the title of your book? I love it.
Not just sunglasses and autographs. I keep forgetting what's the subtitle.
I have it written down. Hold on. Not just sunglasses and where'd it go? I just had it.
30 years of
Of life and near death experiences. What was I?
yeah,
Yep.
dark humor.
Yep, I love dark humor though. Dark humor is probably my favorite form of humor if it's done right, of course.
Those two stories I told you, I had to take out of the book.
Really?
Yeah, because he's pointed out that some might not like the porn reference and the story about Parkinson's. People going through. I mean, they're going through bad. I'm doing okay,
Hmm.
but there are people who are just going through hell.
Right.
I mean, I tell people when you get your diagnosis, run home from the hospital. I had a nurse, sorry, a doctor. He's 100 pounds, 5 feet tall. The reason I bring that up is because one guy told me I had Parkinson's. I went to the other doctor, and she said I wanted. She told me I had Parkinson's. I said I want a second opinion. She got right in my face. This is your second opinion. You have it.
Jeez.
Because people get in denial
Yeah.
and they don't start exercising. They don't start taking care of themselves. So God bless for getting right in my face and saying, "Listen, you got Parkinson's. Deal with it."
Little tough love there.
Did I scare you?
No. In all honesty, I prefer somebody that is direct and upfront, especially about I don't need to be catered to. I don't need to be like, oh, go get your second. Like for something like that, especially like I like being talked to directly. Here's the situation. Here's what you can do. Here's what you shouldn't do. Like blah blah blah. Just point me in the right direction, and let's start dealing with the problem, whatever it is. So
When I had cancer, I had a lot of biopsies because it could diagnose me. And this is where my all my life came to bear. The doctor said to me, "You've got cancer."
mhm.
I just said I didn't break down, I didn't cry. I said, "What are we doing about it?" I got right to that. Also, the same doctor after all my chemo and radiation. I said to the doctor, "Am I normal?" He says, "Tommy, you're never going to be normal,
Mhm.
but you're in remission."
Oh, that's
He was
awesome.
talking about my sensibility.
See, that's actually the best kind of doctor. I actually do enjoy a doctor with a solid sense of humor, at least. Gotta gotta deal with some of that bad news with a sense of humor, I guess.
Has it been a little health scares in your family?
We've had a few heart issues. My dad had some heart issues. My mom had some cancer issues, obviously, and she's in full remission, which is fantastic. So, family history, stuff like that. A lot of my family smoked, so that passes down. For me, I grew up with asthma, really bad asthma. I was 9 weeks early when I was born. So I had a slew of health problems when I was younger. And same thing. I was like, I can work through it or I can, be a victim of it. So I remember the first time I got bronchitis when I was I was probably like 11 and it was probably the worst health scare of my life. I spent a week in the hospital and I told myself that I never wanted to be like that again. And I started training in martial arts right after, did 25 years of martial arts training and professionally and
Scared of you? What discipline?
taekwondo and then kabuto karate.
I took Shotokan when I was a kid.
Very cool, man. I love that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Like for me, martial arts played a very big part of my life. I still am very passionate about it. And even though I work professionally and I also do this semi-professionally, I still teach at our old Taekwondo school. Once a week, I do lessons with kids with special needs.
That's great. I was at CVS the other day, like 2 days ago.
Hmm.
I saw a woman had the hat on, so you could tell she had no hair on her.
Hmm.
And I debated back and forth. but she left. I was in one part of the counter. She was in the other part.
Mhm.
And she walked away. I said, keep up the good fight. She gave me a wicked little smile. I don't know if she thought I was kind of condescending to her, but I had to reach out.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Like that's so inspiring to hear. I'm trying to get the producer because there's a great story for the producer who she's looking at me. She's giving me side eye.
Is that your wife?
Yep, that's my wife.
Get her in here. I want to talk to her.
She's not getting on camera, she said. She'll grab a microphone and say hello. Go ahead. Oh, as I'm hitting things. This is actually happening right now. I love it.
Hello?
2 words. Jensen Ackles.
Humana, humana, humana. He's fantastic.
He's a great guy. He's as good as he's advertised to be.
Oh, she's intrigued. You got her.
Interesting.
So this is Tommy. Tommy worked on My Bloody Valentine with Jensen Ackles.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible.
She just lit up. Okay.
Is that your hallway pass?
That I think so. Yeah, I think he's the hallway pass.
He's my
for sure.
hallway pass too. What are you talking about? Get out of here.
Seriously, everybody's hallway pass.
It's a man's
honestly.
man.
He's oh my gosh, he's great. And he's not bad to look at either.
You're talking
You-
about.
you-
Well, you too.
Oh, me too.
You
Okay, and
you
me
too,
too.
sweetheart.
And me too. Thank you, dear.
Oh,
But
that's so cool.
I'm choking back so many responses right now.
oh yeah, she's holding it back right now. She's holding.
Oh
It
no.
no. What?
It's not about me.
It's not about.
It's not about me.
What do you think about David Caruso?
I don't know. The
No.
face is escaping me. I'm terrible with names, with faces. not-
Good. He should escape you.
But yeah, so Tommy, I know everybody who's listening is like, we already heard this. Tommy's worked on Chicago PD, worked on my Bloody Valentine. He's been around. So he's got some
Some really
stories,
nice credentials.
some stories to tell. And
I bet.
he did send us a copy of his book.
Awesome.
Yep, she didn't know. She didn't know any of these details. Now she knows that there's a book and you've met Jensen Ackles. So she's happy.
Oh my God, winner.
I wanted you to interview me, not your husband.
That's fair.
Oh.
I don't know if you would, because my wife is actually a trained forensic interviewer.
Yeah, when I'm in the zone, I'm pretty good with my questions, but it's not. I mean, it's not supposed to be intimidating by any means.
Tell me a little bit more about that.
No, it's okay.
I have so many wise ass answers. I duck all your questions.
Oh.
Oh no.
Oh.
I already see the follow-up episode. Oh boy. Oh boy.
I think it should be followed because there's so much in the book. There's so much in the book.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, I can't wait
what-
to read it.
When am I coming back?
Well, as soon as we're done with the book.
Yeah, as soon
Do
as
you
we
both-
get it, we'll let you know, and then
I said you and your husband should read a chapter to each other. Just alternate reading chapters to each other, kind of like a love thing.
Oh yeah. That's the plan.
That's
We do have
awesome.
she does have her little reading area set up, and I do have a couch next to her. It's not my reading area, but it's in the reading area. So it's fine.
It's,
reading
it's there- she keeps it. It's way she keep an eye on you.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
of course.
Nothing but trouble here. All right, but we are getting towards the end of our episode, and at the end of all of our episodes, we love to do a little rapid fire questionnaire. I typically tend to cater it to whoever I'm speaking to. So if you're interested and you're ready to go, I got some rapid fire questions.
Here's the answer to the first question. Once in college,
No, that's how the rest of the story starts off, though. Actually, it's this one time in band camp is actually the correct answer. All right. So, what is one piece of advice for aspiring filmmakers or those in the entertainment industry that you would give?
never give up.
I love it.
And you're gonna get knocked down. Enjoy the knockdowns because you learn things. You meet people. I mean, I made more contacts through free jobs. But nowadays, people frown on the free jobs.
Mhm.
But I met more people through free jobs than any other. Just don't give up and network. You don't meet anyone in your living room. I mean, I speak the whole book with axioms like that.
Very cool. What is a memorable on-set experience that taught you a valuable lesson?
There's so many of them. Just because it's coming to mind, I was a PA on Mermaids. I always say that's my best job. And I carried Cher over my shoulder in a mermaid costume back to her trailer.
Awesome.
It's in the book.
You are the best at pitching this thing to me. Like I'm dying to read it. All right, I got you. Hold on, we got two more. What is a project or person who significantly influenced you or and your career?
Mark Tinker.
Oh yeah,
Do you know who he is?
name sounds familiar. I'm trying to place him.
He was the producer director of The White Shadow, L.A. Law,
Oh, I
St.
know.
Elsewhere.
Oh, St. Elsewhere. Well, all right, I know L.A. Law and St. Elsewhere. That's awesome.
Yeah, when I first moved to Glendale, I would go lift, then I'd go back at 2 o'clock and watch reruns of St. Elsewhere because I miss Boston. But he's a great guy. He's very supportive. He wrote the forward for the book.
Oh,
He wrote the forward for the book.
that's so cool. All right, last one. I have a feeling I know what it is, but I'm still gonna ask it. What is a go-to mantra or phrase that keeps you motivated?
Don't cry in public.
Oh, okay. You caught me off guard. I thought it was just gonna be more of like don't give up, keep going, but don't cry in public. I love it.
No, I just had to throw you in. I think it really is Parkinson's. Don't give up exercising. If you have to walk down the street. I mean, there's a guy named Jimmy Choi who's on YouTube. He had Parkinson's. He exercised his way back. He competed in the American Super Ninjas. You know that
Oh yeah. The name sounded so familiar. It was driving me crazy.
yeah, he's like my Kari Yashevsky. I mean, those kids had heroes growing up.
Mhm.
That's my hero.
Oh, that's so cool. American Ninja Warrior. That's a good one. I haven't watched that show.
Yeah, well, the thing is, he had Parkinson's. He went through the thing.
That's so crazy. I remember that. Oh man, that's wild. All right, that is the end of our time though. Unfortunately, I'm sure we could talk for another like 2 hours, but I do have to cut it short. Because otherwise we would talk for another 2 hours. But
Pay your bills, and we could go longer.
yep. The electricity is getting turned off in 10 minutes. What are you talking about? I have so many studio lights going on right now. I'm surprised it's still on. But for anybody who wants to get a copy of your book, what are the best places that they can find it?
TommyBurke.com.
Easy enough. All right. And we'll make sure that we link that in the description. So make sure you guys check that out. But that is going to wrap us up. Tommy, thank you so much for being on tonight. I had a blast.
I miss your wife.
I miss my wife too. I don't even know where she went. But thank you so much, Tommy. This was a pleasure.
Same here. Have a great day.
You.